FAFO, but also my condolences. But let me just say this. If you try to run over a federal agent, you will get shot.
Yep.
Stop trying to spread this propaganda like ICE did something wrong. Move.
This is not hard.
It isn't hard. And I'm so sick and tired of the narrative. And then when you've got a governor and a mayor saying the opposite, what the hell is going on? I also would like to know who's paying these people. Who's paying these protesters?
When can they go to jail?
Right, because you had a simultaneous one. I think it was like in New York yesterday, and that they were funded by somebody who works at the CCP. Like, who's paying these people? We need to start looking into that. Like, this administration, I know they got a lot going on, but they need to be looking at the source of this stuff, because a lot of it isn't America funded. Support our show by supporting our sponsors.
Hey, just a little tidbit about the left's new hero. Yeah, she only has custody of one of her kids. And the reason she only has custody of one is that her domestic partner, a woman, she likes to beat the shit out of kids and put cigarettes out on their arm. And she chose that woman over her kids. Yeah, the court was basically like, hold on, if you're going to stay with her, you don't get to keep the kids. And she was like, yeah, that's fine. So when people were asking, why was this mother not at home taking care of her children? It's because her children were taken away from her. Because her partner likes to beat the shit out of them and use their fucking arms as ashtrays. It's amazing to me that every hero of the left turns out to be an awful human being. Like, that's not surprising, but it's the reality. Because anybody that would believe in the ideology that the left believes, anybody that would take action and try to run over a federal agent, I could assume that they were an idiotic piece of shit. But I have to say that the level of choosing your partner over your children, of staying with someone who likes to beat the shit out of your kids, that's a new level.
In case you didn't get the memo, Grady Judd is going to lay it out real clear for you. None of you Eeyores of color and your white liberal allies wearing beanies are going to be able to hit police with your car, drag them from your car, throw rocks and bricks at them, and try to follow them around with a convoy of cars trying to impede them from doing their damn job. Because here in the state of Florida, your actions will be met with consequences. Play the clip.
Hello, everyone. Chef Grady Judd here. I've been asked by media outlets and several people to comment on the event that occurred in Minneapolis yesterday. Let me make one thing abundantly clear.
Make it clear.
You have to be accountable for your conduct.
That's right.
And that starts with the mayor. Did you hear his filthy
filth?
Talk? Did you hear his filthy, uninformed talk yesterday to the people not only of the city and the state, but across the nation?
Poor leadership.
Shame on you.
Shame.
That's lack of professionalism.
Absolutely.
Now let's look at the event. The investigation's not complete. I am giving you context on the video clip that I saw.
Give it to us,
Law
Judd.
enforcement officers, federal law enforcement officers, ICE agents were trying to take the occupant of the car out of the vehicle. During this encounter,
lay it out.
The vehicle backed up and then drove directly at the ICE agent.
You think they would get it?
That is a deadly weapon.
Thank you.
A 2-ton deadly weapon.
2 ton.
So what did the occupant expect?
He effed around
They
and
should
found
have
out.
expected to be shot when you commit a deadly assault on a law enforcement officer. So let's do this. Let's send out the message loud and clear.
Loud and clear.
And it should start with the mayor, the police chief, the local sheriff, and the governor of Minnesota. Cooperate with law enforcement officers. Don't resist them.
Pretty simple.
Don't violently resist them. If you do violently resist them, if you do felonious assaults with 2-ton weapons expect to be shot.
That is exactly what deterrence sounds like. Like I said earlier, you don't get to ride around with your convoy of cars impeding law enforcement from trying to do their damn job. You don't get to drag law enforcement from your car. You don't get to try to ram law enforcement with your car, a 2-ton car at that. Then cry wolf, cry victim when the consequences show up at your door.
Why are we always protesting and rioting for criminals? I'm genuinely curious.
They told us to stop. They told us to fold. But we ain't built like that. We never back down. Never back down, never give in. These are
You've heard her name all day. Who was Renee Good? She's the woman that lost her life at the hands of ICE in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Now, if you go by the media outlets, what the media outlets are saying, the legacy media, even right there in Minneapolis, St. Paul, because they're all in the bag for the left, she was a mother of 3, an award-winning poet, and a wife. She'd moved there recently from Missouri. Just basically a woman minding her own business who ended up dying because of ICE. In reality, she was a member of a radical leftist group that was tracking ICE. I'm going to read it right from Grok. Renee Nicole Good was a member of ICE Watch, a loose, informal coalition of activists in Minneapolis dedicated to monitoring, documenting, and disrupting U.S. immigration and customs enforcement operations in the area, often described as a sanctuary city. Multiple sources from January 2026 report that Good became involved in the group after connecting with activists through her child's attendance at Southside Family Charter School, a socially conscious institution. Local residents and vigil attendees described her as an ICE Watch warrior. What does that mean? Because the media wants us to believe that she dropped her child off at school and was heading home with her wife and then somehow ended up not alive. Turns out she was tracking ICE. Kristi Noem, the DHS secretary, says she'd been in ICE's way all day. And in this instance, we all saw the video now. I outlined it in a video previous to this. Go look at it if you want. It's clear what's going on there. And all she had to do was go home and be a wife and a mother, or not go where ICE was, and certainly not track them as they try to enforce the law. Now you've got a better idea that you're not going to hear from the legacy media about who this woman was. Give me your thoughts right now. Come on.
You guys aren't going to believe this. Tim Walz is going to deploy the National Guard in Minneapolis because of the federal and ICE operations currently taking place. And Timmy boy, let me help you out. Go ahead and do that. And watch how fast Donald Trump turns that around on you under Title 10. Because the moment those federal agents or ICE agents were blocked or attacked in your city, the National Guard stopped answering to you. And they just start answering to the president. So all your posturing, all this tough talk about state control, it's going to disappear, and it already has mostly, the minute they interfered with federal law enforcement. And this is not a threat, Timmy. It's the law. But something tells me that you already knew that.
No! No! Shame! Shame! Oh my fucking God! What the fuck? What the fuck? You just fucking, what the fuck did you do?
Get the fuck out of our neighborhood! Out car! Out car!
No! No! Oh my fucking God!
What the fuck? Dude, what the fuck?
Well, I saw the video. It just turns your stomach. We need a quick and full investigation to get to the bottom of this.
Yes, Chuck, I agree, but is it going to be full and impartial, or are you guys going to use it as a platform to persecute the ICE agent? I mean, because that's what I think is going to happen. I don't think you're going to look at it for what it is.
But when you have these ICE agents all over the streets of our cities without any cooperation with local law enforcement, local communities, tragedies, horrible tragedies, killings occur.
Well, if you guys wouldn't have allowed 15 million plus illegal immigrants into this country, ICE wouldn't have to be all over our country, now would they? Also, why is it only Democrat-ran cities and states that have the no cooperation with the law enforcement and federal agents? Why is that? Republicans don't have that issue.
Well, I've never been for ICE going into our cities, period. It doesn't belong there.
And neither do the illegal immigrants. Look at that. We got something in common, Chucky.
And the mayors and county executives and others throughout the country believe they can handle it much better themselves than having people from the outside come in.
Oh, right, because that's been working out very well, hasn't it, Chucky? Also, have you not seen the state of Minnesota and what's happening there with all the fraud stemming from Tim Walz on down? Yeah, there's a reason you bring people from outside in, because sometimes people on the inside are rotten as fucking corrupt.
What's your message for the protesters down there? Should they remain civil?
Well, of course, there should never be violence.
Well, Chuck, at least we can agree on that much, huh?
But there should be, protest is an American right, and when things like this happen, people feel the need to protest, and they're right to do it. We salute them doing it.
The right to protest, huh, Chucky? Okay. So this woman with several other cars that had been following these ICE agents that blocked off the intersections nearby and surrounded these agents trying to push their car out of the snow, that was needing to be protested, huh, Chucky? Get the hell out. You and the rest of that base is so deranged. I just have nothing else. Honestly, I'm just over it. I don't feel sorry for liberals about this stuff anymore. If you guys want fewer of these situations, it's pretty simple. Mind your own business. Stay your ass at home if you're not going to work. There's no reason to be out chasing law enforcement like it's a hobby. Renee Nicole Good was one of the people involved here, and someone who had been using apps to tell others where ICE was. And instead of just, staying out of their way, she decided to physically interfere. She parked her car in the middle of a roadway. She didn't pull over. Not off to the side, but perpendicular across the roads, so the ICE vehicle literally couldn't move forward. They weren't even stopped for an operation. They were just driving. And when agents got out and asked her to move, she refused. She got loud. They tried to remove her from the vehicle, and it didn't work. And then, as you can see clearly in the video, she turned the wheels towards the officer, hits the gas, and then turns away. And at that time, if you actually watch the officer's movements, really watch, you'll see he doesn't fire right away. He holds back. He only fires once that vehicle actually makes contact with his body. This didn't have to happen. It was inevitable. It happened because someone decided activism meant physically blocking federal agents with a car. And at some point, personal responsibility has to matter. And as far as these governmental leaders calling this out and saying that, people need to rise up, I hope each and every single one of you are held accountable and sentenced in a court of law.
Out here, somebody sent me a photo of a CNN headline about what happened in Minneapolis. And this is the headline. I'm just going to read it. Outrage after ICE officer kills U.S. citizen in Minneapolis. Well, that's one way to put it, and that is the way that many people in the corporate media have put this attack over the last 24 hours. And I say attack very, very intentionally, because this was an attack on federal law enforcement. This was an attack on law and order. This was an attack on the American people. The way that the media, by and large, has reported this story has been an absolute disgrace, and it puts our law enforcement officers at risk every single day. What that headline leaves out is the fact that that very ICE officer nearly had his life ended, dragged by a car 6 months ago, 33 stitches in his leg. So you think maybe he's a little bit sensitive about somebody ramming him with an automobile? What that headline leaves out is that that woman was there to interfere with a legitimate law enforcement operation in the United States of America. What that headline leaves out is that that woman is part of a broader left-wing network to attack, to dox, to assault, and to make it impossible for our ICE officers to do their job. If the media wants to tell the truth, they ought to tell the truth that a group of left-wing radicals have been working tirelessly, sometimes using domestic terror techniques to try to make it impossible.
Make this abundantly clear for all the MAGA people at home who still seem somewhat confused. Fuck ICE and fuck that ICE agent who killed that woman in broad daylight. If you think somehow that was self-defense, you are delusional and you have no understanding of the law. And also, fuck the people who are defending it. Not only did that woman lose her life, but her son, who's 6 years old, his father died in 2023. Now he is...
You know what, Harry? You're right. You're right, Harry. That kid is without parents now. And she knew his father passed in 2023, yet she still decided to do something stupid. That is not our fault. That is not ICE's fault. It is not the kid's fault. It's very unfortunate that her bad decisions has left that kid with no parents at all. But, I mean, it is Minnesota, so maybe they'll find a nice Somali family that'll be able to take them in. Nope, you don't get to lie your way out of this one, Harry. Never facts, huh? Just feelings. That ICE agent, was dragged by an illegal immigrant in his car and required 33 stitches 6 months ago. So no, I don't think he was trying to get ran over again, Harry. And here's a fact for you, Harry. The moment she shifted that car from reverse to drive, it became a crime. She drove straight into the officer on video, and now you and the Democrat leaders are out here saying DHS, ICE, everybody's lying. Cool story. We have the video footage. And what about all these kids in school stories? She traveled from Colorado to confront ICE and found out consequences still exist. This is going to piss people off. That ICE agent shooting was self-defense. Absolutely. You do not have to agree, but it doesn't change the fact. That moment she shifted from reverse to drive and struck the officer became a violent crime, and the video proves it. Political leaders who are on TV and social media like Tim Walz, who are trying to fuel chaos, should have consequences that put them behind bars. It needs to stop.
Yesterday, armed ICE agents in an unmarked vehicle detained 3 North Seattle neighbors at Evergreen Washelli Cemetery. I am furious at the federal government's abuse of power. It is unacceptable to kidnap people who are simply going about their lives.
Oh, guys, look who finally got a seat at the adult table. A 43-year-old mayor who, until January 1, was still living with her parents and having them pay all of her bills. Even said it herself. Getting elected means I don't have to have them pay my bills anymore and I can move out of their house. But now you're outraged that the federal government is enforcing the law, huh? Interesting. You take the oath, accept the authority, but when the same system does its job the way you don't like, suddenly it's an abuse of power. Sweetheart, that's not an abuse of power. That's called principle. Knowing that the laws have teeth and are being exercised. Sweetheart, you're going to learn that just because you're mayor doesn't mean that you're eligible to talk to fucking anyone or anybody gives a fuck.
Our ask is to embrace the truth. Our ask is to include the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension in this process because we in Minneapolis want a fair investigation.
No.
Is it deeply concerning that this administration from the very get-go is drawing the conclusion that they may ultimately come to? Of course it is.
You don't let them cooperate?
And if you got nothing to hide from, then don't hide from it.
Right? That's what we tell you.
Include local experts in the process.
Nope.
We got nothing to hide from here.
Yeah,
all we want in Minneapolis is justice and the truth.
Okay. Oh, so now Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey says he wants involvement with ICE in the local shooting investigation. Okay, that's interesting. Because just weeks ago, city leadership made it clear they wanted nothing to do with ICE, Customs and Border Protection, and the National Guard while federal law was being enforced in Minneapolis. Isn't that right, Jacob? You know, when federal agents were doing their jobs removing illegal immigrants, cooperation wasn't welcome. Now that there's political attention, Jacob suddenly wants collaboration and saying it's essential. You do not get to reject federal authority when it's inconvenient, Jacob, and then demand a seat at the table when the cameras are on. That's not principled leadership. That is selective outrage in the purest. And if cooperation really mattered to you guys, it would have existed long before the press conference. You can't block enforcement on Monday and call for partnership on Tuesday just because the narrative got uncomfortable. I've noticed the liberals have gone real quiet since the body cam footage from the ICE shooting of Renee Good was released. A lot of certainty, a lot of outrage, and just like usual, they were wrong. The video is clear. The ICE officer was fully justified in his actions. Facts matter, even when they're inconvenient, Democrats. So what does matter now is the reckless, inflammatory statements made by political leaders before the evidence was even released. Statements like that don't just mislead the public, they escalate the tension and endanger lives. If accountability actually means anything, Tim Walz will be arrested by the end of the weekend.
I continually see you following us, interfering with us, honking your horn, blocking our cars. You have a very high probability of making a really bad decision and being arrested today, okay?
Intimidate her. It's not illegal.
I'm not.
The right decision.
Oh, then why are you giving her a warning? I'm giving her a warning to not interfere with what we're doing, to not make a bad decision today and ruin your life.
Well, bad decisions.
Thank you.
That's funny coming from you.
Okay, alrighty. Thank you. Have a good day.
I hope you have a terrible day.
Okay, thank you. So you know, if we continue to have you follow us, okay, have fun. Don't make a bad decision today.
Why does every liberal look the same? Why is that? I would love to know the answer to that. And just sitting there watching him try to talk to them and the smug look on her face and, I hope you have a terrible day. Like, dude, really? Ma'am, remember, you're the one that has nothing to do to the point to where you are literally following ICE agents around just to see where they're going so you can update their location on an app. Think about that. You're not even being paid. If you put that much energy into getting a damn job and actually working, just imagine what you could do without government benefits.
The car right now.
Okay. I'm sorry, officer. I'll get out of my car and follow lawful orders. Hands up. I'm out.
Ladies and gentlemen on the left, that is all Renee Nicole Good had to do. But instead, she chose to go the opposite way. She chose to not listen to lawful orders and take a bullet into her head because she wanted to try to run over an ICE agent. That's not how you get things done.